Welcome back everyone, I am the Depressed Eeyore, and this is the Luca Abuse Simulator, also known as Labyrinth Refrain. I turned up the volume, the game volume a little bit, so hopefully it's a little bit more balanced. I'll probably be tweaking that as I go through the first few videos, unfortunately. Alright, so last we left off, all our poppets died. Off in the distance you hear Luca's distressed voice.
This is the story of a faraway world, where faint traces of magic still linger. A world called Tennis. The mysterious town of Refrain resides there. And deep beneath that isolated and forsaken town lies an unexplored underground labyrinth. Nobody knows who built it, or when it was built. Some say it holds treasures that could control the world. Treasures that could make one immortal, and a slumbering demon king whose awakening could end the world. But no one knows for certain. What is known is that the labyrinth is filled with cursed miasma, a substance that brings death to any human it touches. One day, a witch arrived at Refrain with the intention of exploring this labyrinth. Her name was Dusk Witch Dronia. She had in her possession a legendary book, said to have been written by the only man to explore the labyrinth and survive. She had the Tractatus de Monstrum.
Mysterious domain.
Da-da-da-da! Welcome! Welcome to the dusk of tennis! Huh? What? Are you still asleep? Huh. That's odd. Did I make a mistake? Hello? Hello? Oh, you're awake. Nice. Hi there, you lost wandering soul. Did you have a nice dream? Of course, you can't respond. Not in your condition. Anyway, I'm sorry to dump this on you all at once, but I have a very important announcement to make. In just a couple minutes, your soul will vanish. Dun dun dun! What a shocking turn of events! Surprised, huh? I am too.
She's oddly positive about this.
In fact, you probably can't tell, but you don't have a physical form right now. But it's alright. We'll figure something out. Don't worry about it.
Kinda worried.
For now, can you just continue along this path?
I mean, this path of weirdly not level cubes.
Well, it's not like you really have a choice right now. Chop chop! Time's a-wastin'! Let's get moving! Oh yeah!
She's way too enthusiastic about this. The voice said your soul would vanish. Perhaps you should listen to it. Magia. Evil enigmatic space. So, currently I have no puppets. And we are, as in this game, we play as whatever this entity is, this soul. Pretty much gender-neutral soul that we get to name eventually. So yeah, you don't actually directly play as Luca or Dronya, or any of the characters. You play as this little soul here. Also, what's kind of neat about this game is if you use the left stick, you can kind of look around without actually turning.
Hey, not that way!
I'm a rebel.
No, the other way!
There's a bunch of eggs too. As you explore the labyrinth, you will sometimes be prompted to perform specific actions. For example, you might be prompted to jump over a gap, or you might be prompted to open a door in front of you. Some prompts involve the use of switches to open doors or activate devices that are blocking your way. If a location requires an action to be performed, the prompt for that action will appear in the center of the screen.
Unfortunately, there are no enemies for you to beat up on here.
It's like she knew. But I always like to fully explore everything, so...
That's it! You're pretty nimble.
So I can't jump there. There's a gate here. Need a switch to open it. There's a switch here. Activate the switch, you hear something unlock. Pretty much the switch mechanic in this game is pretty basic. You...
Just a little further.
What, off this cliff? Pretty much all the switch mechanics in this game is just, you hit switch, it unlocks a door somewhere. I think in pretty much all situations. I think it's one switch per door.
This place sure is mysterious, huh? Too bad I can't tell you where you are.
Cube Eggerland. It also looks like we're in some sort of cage. There's like weird like constellations beyond.
Oh, that reminds me. We're almost there.
Thanks. There's pretty much no reason to not hit the switch, so if you see a switch, go and hit it.
Oh, this is it! This is it! I've been waiting for this! Welcome! You finally made it! Now it's time for the last step. Just leap into this book. You'll be fine, trust me. Besides, we've got a heart-pounding, fantastic adventure ahead of us, filled with romance and courage. So the answer is clear. If you've got a fistful of bravery and 2 scoops of curiosity, steel yourself and dive in!
Leap into the book. You can do it! Even the narrator's supporting me. Well, I feel like I'm just being ganged up on, but... Sure, I'll just jump and slam my face against this book. Well, I guess I don't have a face, I'm just a soul. I'm hideous.
How do you feel? Your soul just went into this book. But this is no ordinary book. Why, this beard-cursed book is known as the Tractatus de Monstrum. And from now on, that's what you are.
Wait, cursed book?
Beneath the town of Refrain, there is an unexplored underground labyrinth. The Tractatus de Monstrum was written by the only man ever to return from this labyrinth alive. The rumor is he stayed awake for 7 days and 7 nights writing this book. How scary! But this is just a rumor after all. And my facts are, shall we say, unfounded. Because the guy who wrote this book up and died after he finished it. That sort of detail tends to make people skeptical. Anyway, afterward, a bunch of drunk idiots waged a bloody battle over the Tractatus de Monstrum. Huh? Are you mad? Come on, tell me what you're feeling right now.
So, we're a book, so we actually can't really speak. So our options are, we can affirm, deny, and silence. And that is pretty much the only options we'll have whenever we get prompted for dialogue. For the most part, the dialogue's just going to play on its own because it's kind of a linear track as far as the story is concerned, but there are some situations where you do get to make these decisions, though sometimes it's a little unclear, I have to admit. I'm a book, so I'm just going to be silent.
My. Well, since your soul is sealed in that creepy thing, I guess that response is to be expected. Oh yes! Could you also tell me your name? You may be the Tractatus de Monstrum, the book that records fate, but your name is still important, even if no one calls you by it.
Your soul has been placed in a book called the Tractatus de Monstrum. Tell this mysterious voice your name. Well, the nickname what we're going to be called throughout most of the game is going to be is Tracty. But since we're a spirit, obviously the first time on my personal save I had to force name myself as the Dollmaster Alice. But for this one, we're going to be Nima. Confirm the name of the soul within the Tractatus de Monstrum. You will not be able to change this name. Proceed. Yes.
I see. Boy, it must be tough to be with such a powerful great witch. Anyway... Oh, I can't interfere that much longer. Try to enjoy yourself. Remember, everything you'll need on your journey can be acquired as you go. Now go. I wish you good fortune on your journey. And
hopefully. Lunar year 3616-1313.
Witch! Lady Witch! Lady Witch! Lady Witch!
Huh?
Please wake up! Please! Wake up!
Shut up! And never call me a witch while we're in the town. The peasants in this backwater do not take kindly to witches.
Then what should I call you? Madam Baba?
Madam Baba Yaga. No, actually, call me Madam Dronia. Now, let me sleep. It's been a week since we left Craven, and the town should finally be within sight.
No! Wait! The book! The book is moving!
Huh?
Ah! It's got eyes! It's looking right at me!
Hey! Don't drop it, you little idiot! Stop the caravan! Luca, how many times have I explained the importance of this book to you? Eyes on this book. Why, I should spank your bottom raw for saying something so stupid. Or shall I prepare a special potion? One that will force you to say your true name so I can make you more obedient.
Ah! Not my name! Not my name! Anything but that! Madam Dronia! Madam Dronia!
Must you cry all the time?
No! I mean it! The book really has eyes! And a mouth, too!
You're still prattling on about...
Look! See?
Huh. This is...
See? It's got eyes, doesn't it? I told you so!
And eyelashes.
What? I didn't feel any mana flowing through that book when we left. I can feel... a soul. What's going on? How could this book have a soul? And why did I not notice until now? Eyes and a mouth. Hey, Tractatus de Monstrum. If you can talk, say something.
Affirm.
So you can't actually talk. Regardless, it does seem to have a will of its own.
So yeah, we actually can't speak. At most, we can kind of maybe gesture. And it's already been mentioned that we can't actually move on our own power.
At any rate, this book does appear to understand human language.
Amazing! This book understands us! Since it's the Tractatus de Monstrum, let's call it Tracti. Yeah, Tracti. Tracti. Can you hear me, Tracti? I'm Luca. Luca.
But how is it possible for me not to have noticed this? Every living creature has a soul, and with that soul comes a consistent flow of mana. I'm just speculating, but perhaps this book just spontaneously gained a soul. I wonder.
Tracti, can you understand what I'm saying? Huh? Can you?
I'm wasting my time thinking about this. If a soul resides in that book and it can understand us, then we just have to use it to our advantage. Oh, Tractatus de Monstrum. I'm going to keep you very busy. Luca, if we're to reach the town before nightfall, stop playing with that book and get this caravan moving.
Oh, Madame Dronia! Wait for me!
So yeah, we're stuck in a book and we're gonna be serving under that witch.
Madame Dronia! We're here! We're here!
So time is kind of jumping around a little bit. We're actually before we first went into the Labyrinth. So it's a little bit of a flashback. Dronia looks out the window of the caravan at the rotunda housing the well.
That's where the well is. I can't imagine why someone would bother building that rotunda around it.
Madame Dronia! I'm gonna set the wheel wedges so the caravan won't move!
Now that the brat is gone... All right, Tractatus de Monstrum. If you truly understand my language, then listen carefully. This is our home now, as well as your base of operations as you carry out your mission. Your mission has one objective: conduct a thorough exploration of the Labyrinth beneath Refrain, and conquer it. The Labyrinth is filled with toxic miasma that no human can hope to survive. But you are not human, and with you and Luca's puppet soldiers at our disposal, I'm certain we can conquer it. A puppet soldier is an immortal magical being known as a manania, created by placing a soul within a puppet. They are lifeless here on the surface, but when exposed to mana, they become animate. And my witch's intuition is telling me that there are rich stores of mana underground. I can tell you have a will of your own, so before I continue, I must ask, will you conquer the Labyrinth for me?
Not gonna say anything.
I see. Remaining silent, are you? No matter. I already know that you have a will of your own. All that aside, there was no reason for me to ask you that question in the first place. Care to know why? Because I don't trust you. A book that happens to contain a soul? And that book has agreed to explore the Labyrinth for me, no questions asked.
Well, I have plenty of questions, and I haven't agreed to anything.
Impossible. I refuse to believe such rubbish. I only believe in that which I can personally observe and affect. Now, here's something you should know. I can sense the flow of mana within others. By manipulating that flow, I can enthrall souls to carry out my bidding. To a certain extent, that is. You possess a soul and mana. And you also possess a name. That's all I need to exercise my power. Do you understand what I'm going to do with you?
Dronia raises her hand and her eyes glow an eerie crimson.
Tractatus de Monstrum, hear my words. I, Dusk Witch Dronia, command you. Obey me and use my witch brigade to conquer the Labyrinth of Refrain. You cannot break this soul-bound pact. Once your soul has carried out this order, only then will I liberate it from this loathsome world. You cannot disobey me now.
Of course, you know, our soul is not named Trakti, but...
But you're not completely enthralled either. For the most part, you can act as you please.
Oh, that's neat.
Whether you lust for destruction or riches, you're free to indulge either desire when you're beneath the ground. Though you have less freedom on the surface, if you require the services of this caravan, speak to Luca. Do you understand? Otherwise, I don't care how you carry out my order, as long as you produce results.
Madame Junia! Madame Junia! I placed the wedges on the wheels. I wedged them in real good.
The brat returns. Now then, Tractatus de Monstrum, let's begin our preparations.
You obtain 3 puppet bodies. You obtain 3 soul packs. You obtain some mana and silver. Nice! With the Witch Brigade, conquer the underground labyrinth of Refrain. As a soul within the Tractatus de Monstrum, you'll use the puppet soldiers to conquer the labyrinth. First, create puppet soldiers to form the Witch Brigade you will use to conquer the labyrinth. To craft a puppet soldier, select Puppet Workbench from the base menu. At the Puppet Workbench, you can craft, repair, or destroy puppet soldiers. You can craft a variety of puppet soldiers at the Puppet Workbench. However, you'll need puppet parts and a soul vial to create a puppet soldier. Every soul vial has a soul clarity rating. The higher this rating, the stronger the puppet soldier. Select Repair Puppet to use items that can repair a puppet's broken parts. So yeah, the gore hits I talked about earlier. The only way you can repair a broken body part on a puppet is through this. So if you lose body parts while in a dungeon, those are gone until you get back and pay for the repairs. And repairs can get a bit expensive. Also, any game that has gore hit as a type of critical hit cannot be judged. Losing an arm or leg will reduce a puppet soldier's stats, so repair it as soon as possible. Select Destroy Puppet to erase a puppet soldier's soul, permanently destroying it. Use Transfer Soul when it becomes available to move a puppet soldier's soul to a new puppet body, which we're not going to get that for a while. This will strengthen the soul, resulting in a stronger puppet soldier. Now select Craft Puppet and make your puppet soldiers. Alright, so to craft a puppet, you require puppet parts and a soul vial. There are different tiers of soul vial, but right now we have the lowest of the low. So with the parts we have right now, we can make 3 puppets, which is kind of a reduced from our party of 5 we had earlier. See? So souls will have generally just a soul clarity level. I've heard that there's some more specific souls that you can get that can have other traits, but I actually didn't encounter those during my other playthrough. Pick a faucet, then name the puppet soldier and customize its various settings. A faucet is basically a job class. Each faucet is unique, so please choose them carefully. Some faucets have high attack, others high defense. Of course, you can always pick faucets based on their looks. You can manually name your puppet soldiers, or name them at random if you're feeling adventurous. Now let's go over your puppet soldier stats. HP is hit points. Taking damage reduces HP. At 0, you will die. Facet main stat is Pure Fortress. DP is Donum points. These points are consumed when using Donum, which is essentially magic. Faucet main stat, Marginal Maze. Strength is Strength. It mainly affects your attack power. I believe it's every 2 points equals 1 attack power. Faucet main stat, Astar Knight. DMP is Donum power. It affects Donum strength and total DP. Faucet main stat, Marginal Maze. AGI is Agility. It affects action speed and avoidance rate, also known as AVD. Faucet main stat, Shinobushi. Dex is Dexterity. It affects both your hit and critical rate. Faucet main stat, Mad Raptor. Con is Constitution. It affects defense, def, and total HP. Faucet main stat, Pure Fortress. CHM is Charm. A puppet soldier with high charm is less likely to be targeted by most enemies, but certain foes will pursue them relentlessly. Now then, go ahead and pick your faucets. So, there are essentially, right now we have access to 6 classes, and there's a male and female variant. At this point in the game, there's not really any difference between male and female. Later on, there is certain things that will require certain genders. But for the most part, you can kind of make whatever you want. Also, each of these faucets have currently 3 different, essentially, appearances. You can unlock additional appearances. Also, you can unlock additional classes as you go throughout the game. So we'll go ahead and go over the classes real quick. We got the Stern Knight, a lance-wielding knight who believes in the power of the stars. Skilled at both offense and defense, this puppet soldier fights with stubborn persistence, refusing to yield even an inch. And if you use the right thumbstick, you can actually look at additional information, like what their stats are, their resistances, their status effect resistances, their current aptitudes, their stat growths, as well as their proficiencies. As you can see, there are swords, lamps, lances, hammers, scythes, crossbows, bells, and guitars. Obviously, S+ is the highest you can get. In proficiencies, the highest you can get is S+. In stat growth, the highest you can get is SS. They also have their own specific skills. In this case, Star Knights have Warspire, which is a lance-only skill that increases the crit rate when using lances by 50. And then Stubbornness, which is they survive if they get taken down to 0, they survive at 1 HP, but can only be used once per combat. Now this is something that needs to be kind of made clear about these classes. The only things that their classes decide is their stats and resistances, their proficiencies, and their passive skills. Things like donums and essentially spells, those aren't decided by your class. So that's just something to make very clear. Also, for the most part, you can kind of make any of these classes do whatever you want. It's just the only restriction, of course, is their stats may not be appropriate for it. Anyway, Mr. Knight is literally a lance-type character that has really good critical rate and is generally pretty tanky, but also pretty good at the offense. Shinobushi, practitioner of a fighting style from the Far East, this puppet soldier wields 2 blades with frightening speed. It prefers to fight with the vanguard, where it can strike from the shadows without warning. And apparently does not wear very much. So, stats. As you can see, the percentages are a little bit different. So yeah, Star Knight is all average. Shinobushi has higher stats. Tends to have, different preferences essentially. And their ability is Dual Blade Expert. 50% chance to strike with both weapons, but only if you are S+ proficient with it. And then there's Shadow Step, which makes enemy attacks more likely to miss you. So the kind of catch about this particular class is their Dual Blade Expert. They only have A+ in Sword right now. But one of the skills they can start out with that you can pick is Sword Proficiency, and that will get you up to S. And then there's another way to increase it. So unfortunately, if you want to go Shinobushi and take advantage of their dual wielding, you kind of have to front load what you need to get upon creation. The other problem with Shinobushi is, I don't know, the benefit of the dual wielding is, of course, it's an additional chance to get a crit or a gore hit, and an additional chance to apply status effects. But it does mean you end up not having a shield, or you can't use a two-handed weapon. But they're really good at dodging attacks. For the most part, all these classes are good. Like, you can make them work. It's just some of them are tend to fare better in the I guess the overall throughout the game. Anyway, Theatrical Star, a glamorous dancer who performs in large theaters and excels at building rapport and resonance chains. With its cursed bell, it provides support by inflicting status effects from the rear guard. Also does not wear very much. So, not very not much in the form of physical resistance. They have really high charm, so they're generally not as targeted, and they have S rank proficiency with bells. The benefits of bells is they tend to do status effects, and they hit entire groups at a time. Their passive skills is they get double gain and losses on rapport, which is essentially your how well you get along with the other puppets in your group. And then the healing chime, which is what you saw in the previous video, where at the end of every turn they get back 3% of their max health, and then they get 20% back at the end of a battle if they are equipped with a bell. Overall, like originally if you read the description you're like, oh, this is probably someone that you're supposed to like make as a support type character, but that's not really what you have to do with them. Essentially all their stats effect stuff is from the bell, so you can kind of make them very offensive too. It's just their stats aren't that fantastic for it until later on in the game. Marginal Maze, a versatile Dunham user that can provide an offensive or healing presence from either the vanguard or the rearguard. In close combat situations, this puppet soldier's lamp packs a wallop. So lamps can be used from both rows. Same thing for lances, by the way. Now the thing about Dunham. Dunham is all abilities. It's healing, it's support, it's debuffs, it's magic attacks, it's physical attacks. Like if a Dunham skill involves like something like double slash or whatever it's called, that's a Dunham spell, and so it's influenced not by your physical traits but by your Dunham. So for the most part, Marginal Maze is all about tech, like techniques and spells. So whenever you have any sort of covens that rely more heavily on doing raw damage, Marginal Maze is where you're probably looking at. Now, Dunham influences only things that have actual numeric value to it, like damage, essentially. Things like support abilities, debuffs, and healing. Healing in this game is percentage based, and it's not influenced by your Dunham stat. So, for the most part, for non-Marginal Maze characters, like if you're just giving skills to other character types that don't have high Dunham, they can still be pretty useful for using support abilities and things along those lines. So if you want to, you could be like, hey, I'm going to make this Pure Fortress a tanky support person, so have high defense, and focuses mainly on just doing debuff spells. So yeah, it's a little misleading that it talks about healing. Now, one thing that will probably make Marginal Maze a little bit better at support and healing in general is the fact they get a lot more Dunham points, which means they just have more fuel to essentially keep casting those types of abilities. But for the most part, if you're going to use a Marginal Mage, you're probably going to be using them for offensive damage spells. Or damage techniques. S-Rank and Lamp, obviously they're skilled in Dunham and getting Dunham points. Their passive abilities is Dunham Master, which increases their Dunham damage even higher, so yeah, that's even more reason to use them. It also stacks with other party members, so even if you're... so if you have multiple Dunham Masters, in the same group, those abilities will stack, even if they're not even part of the attack group. They also have Knockout, which is a 25% chance to do additional attacks against stunned enemies. I also don't stun enemies that often, at least back when I played, so it's not that useful of an ability. And then we got the Pure Fortress. Also, I didn't think I cycled through these. And then this Pure Fortress here. A heavy infantry unit that wields a guitar and has been modified for defensive use. Specializing in protecting allies in the vanguard, this puppet soldier truly shines in prolonged engagements. So yeah, they're all about tanking, all the time, but they're decent physical attackers as well. They also specialize in guitars. Siege Shield, recover 5% max HP when using Defend or Fortify. And then Guardian Soul is base 10% chance to intercept an attack. Increases to 15% for each guitar equipped. So if you're dual wielding guitars, that makes it a 40% chance. So this is literally your tanking character. If you want someone that can actually block attacks for other people, you need a Pure Fortress. For the most part, anyone that's giving advice for this game will probably tell you to always make sure you have at least one Pure Fortress in your brigade. I'll tell you right now, I played through the entire game without using a Pure Fortress. Or sorry, I played through the main game without using a Pure Fortress. It's doable. And then we got the Mad Raptor. So, a hunter that uses its crossbow to unleash magical attacks of the flame, fog, and mud element. Though physically frail, it excels at dealing large amounts of damage from the rear guard. So yeah, back when I initially started, I was confused about Donum, and I thought, I was like, okay, maybe they're like some sort of hybrid character, but that's not really what it's talking about. It's just talking about the fact that crossbows as a weapon will always have an element associated with it. So it does piercing plus an element. So that's just their gimmick. And of course, crossbows only work well in the rear guard. It doesn't do well in the front line. The issue with the Mad Raptor is crossbows generally aren't that great in the beginning of the game. But they do get some goofy things that you can just kind of mess around with. They have fancy footwork, which is plus 50% for each attack you avoid until you are hit. Unfortunately, most cases you probably are not going to have your Mad Raptor get hit. They have crossbow sniper, which increases their acting speed, which is how quickly they do their action in a combat round, and increases their hit rate when using crossbows. Now, a fun thing you can do with raptors is when you make these puppets, you get to pick a passive skill you can start with in addition to your standard ones. And one of the ones you can start with a Mad Raptor is there's a 3% chance when using a crossbow that you can hit 10 times. Like hit an entire group like 8 or 10 times. Which of course is 3%, so it doesn't happen often, but when it happens, it's pretty funny. So, those are the classes. Sorry for being long-winded, but I just wanted to kind of go over them. So I have three characters right now. Alright, and I can't open the menu right now, so I have to do the puppet creation first. So, first things first, we want I'm gonna get trying to think what all I want. Okay, I'm going to go with a Mad Raptor. Just figuring out which one I want. We'll go with a short-haired one. We will go ahead and name her Nittery. Alright, so we can pick a few things. We can first pick a voice.
There! 100% accuracy.
Sure, we'll pick that voice. If you unlock their fourth appearance option, you'll also unlock their fourth voice. Alright, you can pick a nature. Their natures influence their stat growth, essentially. Or their influences their equipment compatibility for certain stats. In most cases, I usually pick Brave for physical attackers. And I think that's what I'm going to stick with for this one. You can unlock more natures throughout the game. Also, each character has a hidden nature that you can't reveal until later on, but they have it. So there's a little bit of randomization when you create a character, no matter what. So yeah, we're just going to go with Brave. This gives her a little bit of strength, DP, and agility. And it does reduce her charm, which means she can be potentially targeted more often, but that's not a huge issue. Next, you can pick a preferred stat growth. There's Natural, which is just the base stats. You can go Flat, which will take away from your primary stats, but will bring up your less good stats. So it kind of like evens out your stats. And then there's Sharp, which emphasizes your strengths while further weakening your weaknesses. So, in most cases, I generally stick with Sharps. I go with Sharps for attackers, and then I usually go with Natural for tanks in some cases. But yeah, I think for this one, I'm going to go with Sharp. Later on in the game, you can unlock Double Sharp and Double Flat. Essentially, Double Flat makes it Bs all across the board. And then Double Sharp can do some pretty nasty stuff as well. So we're going to go ahead and go with Sharp. And then there's Stance. There are 3 stances. There's Standard, which is just base. Sun, which is a defensive stance, and boosts your HP and defense, but it reduces DMP and enemies will target you more. And then there's Moon, which is it reduces your increases your strength, DMP, and weapon proficiency, but reduces Constitution and Luck. So we're gonna go with Moon for her. Just increase her overall damage because she's gonna need it. Unfortunately, with a reduced con and with Sharp, her HP is gonna be pretty low. Skill selection. So like mentioned before, I could pick any of these skills. They're all passives. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm just going to reveal some of them. There's Crossbow Master. And then there's Crossbow Salvo. There's a few others that are kind of interesting to have. As you level up, you will unlock these skills naturally. So you don't have to worry too much about that. I'm just going to get Crossbow Salvo because it's hilarious. 3% chance when using a crossbow to attack enemy groups 10 times. Crossbows are generally single target, but when this activates, you're literally going to hit the entire group 10 times. Pretty hilarious. And then you can pick a lucky number. Lucky numbers can influence certain effects. In the beginning of the game, I don't think it actually influences anything. We'll pick 26. Also, you can put some flavor text if you really want to. I'm not going to worry about it.
Pleased to make your acquaintance.
There we go. Soul's been placed in the puppet. Nidori has been born. Now that you have puppet soldiers, the next step is to place them in covens and form your brigade. Puppet soldiers must be assigned to a coven, troop, and registered to your brigade, party. To form a coven, the name of each puppet soldier must be pledged to a soul pact. Register that soul pact with your brigade and you can dispatch your new coven into battle. Now press Y to open the Tractatus formation menu. Right now you can make up to 3 puppet soldiers. More puppets will put you at a greater advantage. Alright, we'll deal with that in a second. I craft another puppet. We're gonna go ahead and make a bell person. We'll go that one. Yeah, it's fine. We'll name you Tiwi. Alright. For her... trying to see what the difference is. Okay, so that increases charm. Alright, so for this class I actually want to have high charm. Alright, I'm picking passionate. Yeah, I think passionate might be what I'm looking for. It has reduced dex is the problem, but higher agility. I'd rather have dodge than hit. I'm not concerned about crit chance. Yeah, we'll go passionate for her.
The flower of the stage has arrived.
Yeah, it sounds like Dewey. Alright, and we're gonna go sharp, which is gonna make her HP abysmal, but she'll have high charm. And then I'm going to put further influence on her other nonsense. Boosted strength, DMP, and weapon proficiency. Actually, I'm gonna have her stick with standard for this. And then, let's see. Improve her charm further. Go Bellmaster. Coven DP consumption plus 25%, but your attacks deal more damage. We'll go Anti-Donum Heresy. And then her lucky number is going to be 7.
Nice to meet ya.
Okay. And then last one. we're gonna go ahead and make an Esther Knight. And her name's gonna be Mei Ling. Could do Remelia, but I think she'll show up later. Alright.
Yeah! Just practicing my victory pose.
Yeah. Who wants fresh-baked cookies?
So yeah, the voices are weird to say the least. I'm gonna stick with Brave for her. Now in this case, picking Sharp for an Esther Knight will actually increase her HP and strength, so it's actually really good for her. And I'm gonna pick Sun, which will increase her HP and defense, and make her essentially a favored target. And then for her skill, we're going to pick... kind of want to go with Lucky Star. I want to have high luck. And then her lucky number is going to be 13. Because it's freaking China.
Please take care of me.
Alright, so this video has actually been going on a while. I apologize. There's a lot to explain. Alright, so that's all we have the room for. Before you form a brigade, let's go over the Tractatus formation menu. From the Tractatus formation menu, you can view and edit a variety of information. Select characters to view your puppet soldiers' stats and change their equipment. Select items to use consumable items or to view the items you find inside the labyrinth. Select map to see how much of the labyrinth you've uncovered. Select Tractatus information to view Tracti's learned skills and karma score. Select options to customize different game settings to your liking. Select Suspend if you want to stop playing and create temporary suspended data. Now select Brigade Formation and create your brigade. At the Brigade Formation menu, you can register soul packs and assign puppet soldiers to covens. Soul packs and covens. A coven is a group of multiple units within the Witch Brigade. Each coven can contain one or more puppet soldiers. They collectively make up the brigade as a whole. Puppet soldiers must be pledged to a soul pack before they can be assigned to a coven. There are a variety of soul packs that can be used to form covens, each one different from the last. Some packs provide special bonuses to puppet soldiers or allow them to use powerful donum. The main benefit of a soul pack is acquiring new and powerful donum to use. The donum that a puppet soldier can use depends on the specific coven soul pack they are a part of. Only 5 covens can be registered to a brigade, considered the best strategy for your situation. Now let's go over assigning puppet soldiers to a coven and placing those covens in the brigade. First, register a soul pack to one of the 5 brigade slots. Current soul packs 3. Next, assign puppet soldiers to the soul pack slots. Your starting soul packs only have 1 slot though. At the formation menu, press up and down to select a coven, press left and right to select a slot. Finally, each soul pack has a coven cost. The brigade's coven cost cannot exceed 100. Go ahead and assemble your brigade. Alright. So we have 3 packs we start with. We have the fighter pack, which has no donum powers whatsoever. And if you look at the individual slots, you can get information from this. Anyone that's in the attacker slot here will gain additional 25% to their attack. So it's actually pretty good. It's actually good for raw attacking. He just has no spells. Also, there's a leader slot. I think you have to have a leader slot filled if you're going to use that pact or that coven, but that's not an issue in this case. Also, all of our packs right now cost 0 cost. Also, they have every pact has a level. They kind of gain experience as you fight. Leveling up a pact, all it does is it reduces the coven cost. So in this case, leveling up any of these packs right now won't actually do anything, because they already are at 0. Anyway, we have the Schemer Pact, which has the Flame Dance 1 donum power, and has no additional effects for the slot itself. Also, notice that the experience percentage says 100. That's generally what you're going to find, but some slots have reduced experience or increased experience. So some of them are really good for leveling up faster, some level you up slower. Then we have the Healer Pact, which has Instant Aid, which is your healing donum essentially. and it has the when you fill this slot here, all donum costs reduced to 50% of their original value. So this 25 cost instant aid would be about 13. So that's what it is. All right, so for the slot, I'm gonna go ahead and set up a fighter pact, schemer pact, and a healer pact. The fighter pact, we're gonna obviously put Mei Ling in here. For the healer pacts, we're gonna go ahead and put in. I'm gonna put in Tiwi. And then for the schemer pack, I'm gonna go ahead and put in Nidori. Nidori right now has the highest donum power, so might as well have her handle any of the offensive spells if we need it. Alright, also if we hit this button, the Y button, we can actually look at the coven list again, or we can look at available donum. So this is a way to look at what the spells actually do. So Flame Dance 1 is a flame spell that attacks one enemy, and it essentially converts mana into fire and ignites the enemy. Has echoes and power, and essentially the power represents how strong the spell is, and then of course the DP cost and all that nonsense. We'll go over, the game's going to go over echoes later. And then for the healer pact, all it does is it heals one unit, and it restores 50% of their HP. It can only be used in battle. Alright. And with that, we are ready to go. Unfortunately, this has been nothing but dialogue, which is a bit disappointing. But I'm going to go ahead and call it a video here. I'm the Depressed Evil, and this was Labyrinth of Refrain, Coven of Dusk. See you guys later.